make money.
I should have one at the office by Monday.
Oh my Lord. Anybody broke around here?
Okay, I'd like to call tonight's special meeting to order. We're going to have a stand for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Crail.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Jones, can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Jerome,
Here.
Ms. Tillett,
Here.
Mr. Rolfson,
Here.
Ms. Rich,
Here.
Mr. Slavy,
Here.
Mr. Crail,
Here.
Mr. Roulette,
Here. Okay, we're here tonight to just kind of review and look at the, set up some names for interviews for the city attorney's RFPs that came in, and open up for discussion. You good?
First of all, just kind of for the good of the order, just because my background is, thank you. Just because my background is legal, I don't expect any special favors or to be acquiescing in anything that I might suggest. I wanted to, in case there's any suspicion of that.
We never even think about it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay.
At any rate, I also hope that some of the suggestions I have, because of my background, will be heard at least and will be considered because of my background. If there was a physician on the council and if there was we're hiring a physician, I'm assuming there'd be some credibility or credence given to that person just because of his background, been there, done that type of thing. I've been the city attorney for 3 cities, and I've represented government at local, county, state, and federal level. So have some familiarity with that, but again, I only mention that just because I don't want to feel like you have to acquiesce or give me any special consideration.
I hired an attorney one time, so I got a little experience too, so, okay, not a problem.
And so in looking at this, we have 4 attorneys. There is one, as I review everything, that is not qualified, and that's the Fowler Law Firm.
So which?
Fowler.
Fowler?
Fowler is not qualified under the RFP that we sent out because we made it absolutely clear in the RFP 3 times or 4 times that the qualifications were board certification in, I'll call it municipal law, government law. And if you look at the RFP on page 6 of the RFP, you will see page 7, you will see minimum qualifications. Number 3, city, county, and local government certification with a minimum of 5 years. And then under the scope of services, the very first line is general requirements include the certification issue. And then under the selection process on page 8, the proposals will be evaluated based upon the following criteria: county, city, county, and local government certified attorney. And so in looking through the Fowler documents, albeit they're obviously and presumably very good attorneys, none of them are qualified because there's no statement in there that any one of them is board certified. So I wanted to start with that one thing from the Fowler Law Firm.
Can I just
Yeah, go ahead.
jump in real quick? I noticed that there was nothing in this as well, and so I called them to ask them if there was anybody certified in state, local, and whatever the correct term was, and they said there were 3 of them. that were,
and why they didn't then read the RFQ, as attorneys are supposed to be skilled in word merchanting. You would think that that firm would have read that and set it out in there. So as the pay documents we have, they are not qualified, in my opinion.
okay.
Going on to Stenstrom. Stenstrom has one person that is board certified, and that's Lonnie Groot. I understand in my research, he's a very qualified attorney in municipal law and well respected. If you look at the letterhead on page 3 of that firm, of the letter submission, you will see Lonnie Groot, the only one in that firm that's board certified, is of counsel. Now, of counsel means, at least my understanding of counsel, is you are a contract attorney. You are hired and you sign a contract. You can terminate the contract when you want to. They can terminate you whenever they want to. If you're an associate or a partner, obviously there are different rights involved in terms of clients. So a contract attorney that's of counsel, they come and go.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you just a little
Okay.
bit. I saw that term, and so I looked it up, and I'm looking at it, and I read this nice little article about of counsel attorneys and the definition of an of counsel attorney, and why firms use of counsel, and it's generally not a contract. Okay, just what, you know, some will do it under a contract, but a lot of them use them from the standpoint that they're attorneys who will never become, from what I understand, reading it, there's a lot of times a firm will take one in because they're never going to become a partner, okay, or they're not really an associate then with them, but they're on staff, they work for them. There'll be a person maybe who reaches a time in their life with working for a firm because on account of the pressures of going out after the billing part of it, so they don't want to. They don't, you know, they reach an age that they're tired, they don't want to go out for the billing, so what they do is to say, okay, we're just going to make you of counsel, and instead of you know, we're going to base your salary on how much billing you bring in. We're just going to pay you a flat out wage, and you can relax. You can work that 9-to-5 type job, and you're going to be of counsel. So it's not it's not a negative connotation to be of counsel. And I just want to make sure that's clear in everybody's minds that it's not a negative thing to be of counsel.
I agree.
Working for a firm.
I agree, thank you, and if I can continue to go through that, then I'll be happy to respond. In terms of that, that comment, you're absolutely correct. They might be the very best qualified in the firm of counsel. Typically, in my experience, when you retire from the firm or sell your stock in the firm or whatever the makeup of the corporate firm is or the professional association, you then become, quote, of counsel, and
My point is that just because you're of counsel doesn't disqualify them.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that,
Okay.
except you need to know they're not a part of the firm. They are not an associate or a partner in the firm, and they may come and go as they wish. Now, my research tells me Lonnie Groot, as I mentioned, is a very good attorney and well-respected in this area, and he is board certified. And obviously, the Stenstrom firm uses of counsel significantly, because you will see 6 of them on the right side of their letterhead. But he is the only one in the firm, according to the submission, that is board certified. So in terms of the requirement on the RFP, that you have to have a backup, the backup, if he's gone sick, on vacation, whatever the reason that he can't show up, there is no board certified attorney to serve us if that's what the desire of the council is. So that's the only thing I'd bring up there, at least at this time. Then going on to the Vos firm, the same thing applies there in terms of who applied as board with board certification, and you'll see on
The lady with the,
page,
the lady with the hyphenated name.
the one that has a 5-year hiatus in her employment. Here we go,
Karen
page
Consolo.
31. Page 31, Karen Consolo. She is the only one that's board certified in that large firm, and she is of counsel, a contract attorney. And I imagine the wisdom of those firms is that they needed to contract with an of counsel, with a contract attorney for them in order to be qualified to serve us.
Do you know for a fact that these people are contract attorneys versus being somebody who's employed by them? I mean, you're making this assumption, and I'm disagreeing with your assumption.
Okay?
Do you know for a fact?
I don't.
That they are?
I don't.
Okay, okay, then, okay, so let's don't worry about if they're on council or not, really.
As I said, I'm just going through mine, and then you all can,
Okay.
you can vote however you like, which you're free to do. The last one, of course, is the Cliff Shepherd firm, and his requirement of his firm is that anybody that's in the firm has to be board certified. And so they have, I think, 5 attorneys, and the one that was here the other day substituting Kiki, and I don't remember her last name, but I certainly remember her, the nickname of her first name. She was going to sit for the board certification exam, happened to be pregnant, and the exam is right at the time she's delivering, he informs me. So she is the only one in the firm, as I understand it, that's not board certified. Aside from the quality, and I'm not getting into quality, I'm just looking at the paper when I'm saying all those things, and my understanding of contract attorney versus an associate in the firm and that. So that's my surface analysis of those. But the only one I do recommend we not consider is the Fowler Law Firm.
Which one, please?
The first one, Fowler Law. Because they had not submitted a board certification, they've not followed the RFP requiring, they either not read it or didn't have it at the time. They submitted it, didn't have a board certified attorney on their firm or even contracted with one because they didn't even mention it.
But they do, but they didn't mention it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's, I called to find out if they did, they said it was great, so. Sweet, Siegel, George, and O'Quinn.
And that's all I have.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I just would like to set up individual interviews and then set up, a joint like we did for the city manager. My view on all of the weighting of the criteria and all of that, I think that's probably, over.
It was a guideline. It was a
Yeah,
guideline.
I mean, I don't
For
really think that,
review.
this is a nice, template for us to kind of look through and actually,
Right.
key in on things, but I'm not sure whether, with just 4 people that we need to worry about weighting and
No,
criteria and
I
things like
agree
that.
with you.
So that's all my comments.
I see a lot of experience here from all the companies, ranging from relatively 1998 or 2002, can't figure that one out yet, but all the way up to 50-plus years of experience. All of them, lots of qualifications, so like Ms. Tillett said, it's a good base to work with.
I think Mr. Rolfson brought up valid concerns and certainly something we should check out. If that's the case, that they don't have the proper certification and so on, then I think that would preclude them from being selected. But I guess I'd like to hear from them, and then that would be something for us to clarify with them. And also, since I'm not familiar with the of council terms and so on, I guess that's something else I'd like to check with them on. What does that mean?
Yes, very good.
Because we
can address it with that.
We do need to be concerned with backups and I guess what I would call bench strength and all that sort of thing, so I think that does play into it. Good questions to be asked.
Ms. Rich, any comments?
I'd like to know how much outdoor experience they all have. That's why I'm still going for Cliff Shepherd that we have. He's more than qualified. If he can't make it, he has other ones in the firms. And in relation to those two, one with Vos, she is a contracted attorney, I did check on that. So I don't know about the other one, but I do know with Vos Law Firm, because I do know attorneys in that law firm.
I guess I have a question as to what's wrong with the contract attorney.
Because she's not really part of the firm, she's just coming in so they can get the job.
I guess I don't understand if an attorney can provide legal services if they're contract or in-house. I mean, we contract, we don't have an in-house city attorney, so we are apparently comfortable enough to contract for city legal services. I guess I just don't understand why a firm having a contract attorney would disqualify them. That's just my opinion, so I don't see any reason why.
Let me suggest, well, I've already suggested one reason. If you're a contract attorney, you have no commitment to the firm other than in the contract. What does the contract say? Can they terminate the contract in 10 days, 30 days? Can they leave at will? We don't know what the contract is. Secondly, each one of those, especially the Vos Law Firm, my understanding there, and I'll check it out further, but when we do interview, and I'm assuming we'll interview more than one firm, that's fine with me. But my concern is that there's a 5-year hiatus with the contract attorney, or whatever she is, Karen Consalo. She's apparently, I'm assuming, very good at what she does. I'm assuming that the best of her, but for 2 years at least, excuse me, for 5 years, between 2009 and 2014, we don't have anything in her resume, which is incomplete for that reason in my view. And secondly, when you have one board certified attorney, even though it's through a council process, you have no depth. And when that person is ill or for any reason can't show up, the attorney that has to show up, who may be very skilled, does not minimally qualify according to our standards. And that's the only reason why I suggest it's worth considering, but not now. Let's interview them. You know,
I know we're loaded with attorneys here tonight. Wow. Another one just came in. Mr. Brown, welcome. And
I'm not one of the four though. I'm not.
yeah, I know. And we got three in here already. I don't know if anybody else, we got any more? We got 3 in here already. No, and I asked questions on this certification thing, and because it was made a big deal, and we start setting up this whole process, I'm wondering why. I asked some questions about it, and so I basically asked one of the attorneys why you don't have a certification like that, this certification, and you call it board, you call it a different name, board certified.
board certified.
It's not, is it board certified? We're just talking about a certification that they attain.
It's Cliff has explained it previously, a month or so ago, but it's like, if I can use a medicine analogy, it's the same thing with law. You have to practice X number of years, 5 years, I think, in Florida. In Florida, once you're practicing for 5 years, you sit for an oral exam, and then you do a written test to see that you're qualified. The area of your 5 years of practice has to be, as I understand it, not being licensed in Florida, has to be in the area of municipal law, period. So you show your skills by your practice, you then show your skills by being interviewed, and then you show your skills by a 8-hour test, or whatever the hour is. It's a long test. And if you pass all of those, same thing with medicine, then you may be board certified in neurosurgery, internal medicine, whatever it might be. So it's a decision by your peers that you are the best there is.
Okay, now, what I found out, now I was told this by an attorney, that a person can sit for a test, pass the test, and never be a city attorney. Okay, so where does the experience level we're talking about, so you can get a person now that's got 40 years of experience, okay, as a municipal attorney, county attorney, whatever, all these different nice attorney things, and have this great experience, but doesn't have the certification because they don't need the certification, because they're telling me that, okay, we can hang our hat on our experience and our past job efforts and what we do, versus that your young attorney will come out, want to get that certification. Can we have quiet out here, please, in the audience? Sir, please, thank you. And we can get a young attorney to come out and want to put that as a little feather in their cap, so they can say, okay, now I got this experience, it makes me nice to look on you know, my resume and whatever. So it's not from what I'm gathering, it's not one of those things that's really is necessary from what I think it was told to us originally. It's nice to have, but we're looking at the experience part of it more so. Sure. And I'd rather have somebody that's got the experience versus somebody who doesn't have the experience. You know,
I totally agree with.
But if they got the certification to go along with it, that's the experience, and that's nice. And but we still got them. But
no, I agree with you, except in one area. Our minimum required qualifications were to be, that we all agreed on and voted on, was before you can even get in the door, you have to be board certified for the reasons that.
And I realize that, but then you look at when we look at maybe the amount of things we got back, maybe it was an item that was not needed to put on our qualification list, and it's something that we still as a council have the right to waive. Even now, you can waive that.
I don't think you can, because we've got a contract, a unilateral contract statement out there. Because if we waive it now, we can waive it, we certainly can, council has the right to do that. Then we better resubmit it.
No,
RFPs
that's still our right to do that also, so it's,
May I
disagree with that, so, go ahead.
I guess my thoughts on that subject are that as long as we have a attorney in that firm or contract or whatever who is qualified, then that firm is qualified, whether the backup or the alternate or whatever, the depth of the firm has attorneys who have practiced many years in municipal law, have been city attorneys and assistant city attorneys and all of that, that as long as there is one in the firm, which is based on the RFP that we set out,
You're qualified.
then that firm is qualified and we should interview them.
And I'm looking at these, what we received back from everybody, and there's a lot of great qualifications here on everybody's from all these, and who has strength, who has weaknesses naturally, and all that. Mr. Slavy, so you're doing.
I was right. Thank you. I think Ms. Tillett was hit on something about the one person. At least in the general contractor world or building contractor, quite often there's one person who's the contractor, and then the people working on the building, hammering the nails and whatnot, might not actually be a holder of a license, but they're working underneath that license. So I think that's how I understood what you said. And then the other thing, I just like casting a broad net, but I think I generally agree with Mr. Rolfson that we've got to make sure that they're pretty good and that it's worthwhile doing that. I mean, of course, I'm going to take great umbrage with Mr. Rolfson anytime that he talks about attorneys, because I certainly respect attorneys, but it's hard to respect an attorney who's also a Minnesota Viking fan. So it's always difficult for me.
I was gonna say the same thing about the Green Bay Packers, but.
I think we're okay with what we have here, and noting that some are really more certified than others.
For some people. Some firms have more certifications than others. I don't know if they're more, I mean, someone's gonna be the right fit for us.
Okay, so I'm gathering that I think that we're looking at to go through this, we're gonna have to have another special meeting regardless, okay? And Cliff says we're going on this month since it's, kind of a new month, you know, we can start a whole new, you know, special meeting, you know, tally going for this month too.
Yeah,
But,
we did 8 in February, might as well do
Yeah,
8 in.
yeah, we can do it, yes, we can handle, actually, we got an extra day this month. We can
That's
probably
right, I
do
forgot
this
about
month, so, but anyway, we can, I'm gathering that we maybe just wanna go ahead and bring all 4 of these firms in and, you know, for an interview, and, without, going through a process of trying to disqualify or anybody tonight, just bring them in and we can ask these questions directly to the firms and, see what we think then at that point, and then we can do an analysis like we did with the interim superintendent. I think it was a good process. If we do the same thing again,
Sure.
I think we might be good. So,
Process is good, but I don't agree with interviewing a follower firm for the reasons I mentioned. It may be great, but if they can't read an RFP that has 3 statements that the minimum requirements are board certification, and they don't note that, that excludes them in my view. They may be the best thing, sliced whole wheat bread, but I don't think we have to look at this reasonably. Now think of all those that when they see this, all these other firms, for example, I'm aware that in just casually talking to Cliff in the hallway, that one of a firm in, I think it was in Lake County, there's about 2 board certified attorneys in municipal law in the entire county of Lake, or 2 or 3, and one of them came up to him and said, he was wondering why he was even at risk of losing his work, his job here. And he said, well, the board went out and the council went out to interview, and he said, well, I'd like to interview, and he's not board, the person that Cliff talked to is not board certified. And Cliff said, well, you're more than welcome to, and you're reporting this to me, but here's the minimum qualifications. And he said, you have to be board certified. And the guy said to the left, oh, then I'm not gonna apply. And that's because that's what the documents, lawyers are supposed to be the best at reading documents. And on the surface, Fowler's not qualified, so I think we should interview the 3 and not Fowler. That's my view. I'm assuming I'll get outvoted.
I concur.
I agree.
What if, since there seems to be, it's not written in there, okay, but from what Ms. Tillett was able to discover, perhaps, what did you say, 3 attorneys from that firm are? Could we ask perhaps Mr. Pastu to call, and if they have proper certified attorney on their staff, interview them? If they don't meet the minimum qualifications, and they don't get interviewed.
Well, I believe Ms. Tillett did what she said she did.
Yeah,
I
I
certainly
called.
don't trust that for 1 second.
okay,
The point is that,
if I may, just real quick, I made a phone call earlier today, and the person that I talked to, I asked about, I was calling for some dates, I'll go over that a little bit later, but I asked about the certification thing, and I asked for them to call back, and I didn't get a call back, and so I called back about some dates, and they says, oh, you know, somebody had called, you know, from one of the council members had called, and I told them that they were certified, okay, at that point, and I didn't tell me who called, and so now I know who called, and so I just wanted to verify that. They told me that the same thing that Ms. Stoll just.
sure, I don't doubt that one bit. Yeah, I don't doubt that one bit, except the problem is if we tweak the official unilateral contract issues that we've talked about with lawyers now and say, well, let's back off. I'm telling you, I'm worried about the blowback that might occur, or the integrity of this council that might be in jeopardy if we start tweaking. Well, let's call him here and let's see if this one applies, and we modify the formal offer or the formal proposal that's submitted. I think that's a problem. I can go along with the majority.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, but we do have a right to negotiate this proposal. It's not an etched in stone proposal. It's a negotiated proposal, and we also have a right to waive or modify any technicalities or irregularities in a bid proposal and the things that are submitted to us. So we have those options.
My only comment is, I like giving people the benefit of the doubt, and perhaps, and I have no knowledge if this is the case or not, and we won't know until we interview them, but perhaps they just assumed that, I'm assuming that they read the RFP and that they thought, okay, we're gonna submit, these are our qualifications, and they chose to submit because they did have people who were board certified. So,
They read everything else in there.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
otherwise,
yeah,
there's
so
not sure
I'm
whether
just,
that.
I don't know.
I don't think attorneys should be assuming.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we should penalize a fourth of our respondents for what could have been just a, technical oversight. Anyway,
If they're doing
it's
shoddy
one
work
extra
like
one.
that now, can you imagine what's gonna happen when they're here?
Well, I just think that
If
that's
you wanna
a
get
big,
the bottom of the barrel, go for it, but that's not what Mount Dora needs.
I'm not looking for the bottom of the barrel, Ms. Rich.
Yes, you are, for someone who can't even do an RFQ, right? To me, that's not good.
No, that's, okay, we
Being an
have
executive
different
director-
opinions.
Being an executive director myself, if I was interviewing and they did that, they'd be disqualified right away.
I hasten to add, they may be great attorneys in the firm, so. But
Ms. Navy, any additional comment?
I'm just gonna end up concurring with, Mr. Rolfson.
Okay, any other comments on that? And, okay, so,
Do we need a
This,
motion?
yes. Okay, let's do a motion and so we, at least which firms that we want to, a motion of which firms we want to, bring in for interviews.
I move we interview all 4 firms that submitted.
Second?
You got a second? Any other, comments on that? And, I think this is more procedural for us as who we're bringing in here, and, this isn't, this is for the council's choice as to who we're bringing in on this, and I don't.
Wasn't sure if you needed to open up for the public.
No, I don't think on this, I didn't get a thinking attorney, but, I'm gonna use, judgment on this, that we don't, this is our decision to bring in the firms. They'll have people have the opportunity to comment on the, when we make a selection for an attorney at that point, and to, at that motion to comment at that juncture. Okay, so.
As a point of order though, is if we're voting on a motion, and, I've not been here this long, but it seems like we always, that we then have the public have the right, because maybe someone will say we should interview 2, 3, or 4. It would seem like that might be something that some people might wanna share.
Does the rest of the council feel that way?
Yeah, I don't have a problem
Okay,
with public comment.
no
Yeah, we
problem,
should.
then I will open it up to the public, and for any comments on the motion to bring in all 4 firms for a interview. Anybody from the public wish to comment? Name, address?
Josh Hemingway, 1177 East Fifth Avenue. I don't see any problem with any of the 4 on here, and I tend to agree that I think experience is probably far more desirable than certification, because I have certified people that work with me on events, and yeah, your peers decide whether or not you have reached a level to be controlling a certain area of event, whether it's audio or lighting. But also, I recall talking to Mr. Shepherd to find out whether or not he was certified when he started, and he couldn't recall. So it means you start somewhere, you get your education, and then you get certified if it's something you want to go after. But if somebody's got 30 years of experience in municipal, and another guy's got 5 years and he gets certified, I'm kind of at odds at which one actually has more experience or more knowledge to supply. So I'm a little bit up and down about the certification if it's something that can be required. But as far as all 4 of them, I would bring all 4 of them up, because in the end, you're gonna pick 1 out of the 4, so I don't see any reason why not to bring all 4.
Any other comment? We don't have a hand mic, do we?
That's okay.
Okay.
The old council used to ask me if I wanted a mic, but since I have an opinion on everything, it's better if I only get up when I really
Well,
need
since you're
to.
here all the time, we should have a hand mic.
Yes, that's,
And,
Anyway.
I think we can, somewhere we can make that accommodation, and I think we should.
anyway, Joe Gillespie, 2022 Sunset Road, Mount Dora, Florida. I believe the certification's important, and I also believe that since there's been so much animosity about a lot of the things that go on at the council, that you ought to make sure you cross the Ts, dot the Is, and if the RFP, whatever, said that they should be certified and it's not there, just so it doesn't bite you in the butt 6 months down the road, I would prefer you played it straight as the way it was advertised and accepted.
Any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to council. Any other comments in here?
I certainly agree with Mr. Gillespie. I want it all. I want good experience, good education, proper certification. And if I were to discover that one or another of the firms didn't have all the things in the RFP, then I certainly don't think I could, approve them. But at this point, I think it's fine to be inclusive with the four and sort it out when they're here and they can speak for themselves.
No, I'm a little bit of a quandary, also from the standpoint that, yeah, I'd like to see, we got four and we can look at four, but I'm also looking at it from the eyes of a former purchasing agent, and where I had to look at the, being on the other side, looking at the bids coming in and, qualifying bids, to a Board of Education. And we have to, people don't put all their paperwork in there, but there are some technicalities, different things, but a little differently than here. All my bid openings were always represented with a board attorney at the time, to answer any questions of irregularities at the time. But, so we don't have that, didn't have that as far as our process going on in here. Yeah, it's a tough one, to call, but I think we need to kind of maybe look at some being on the safe side for different things, so see what happens, and take it on the vote, and Ms. John, go ahead and vote.
Voting to interview all firms. Ms. Tillett,
Yes.
Mr. Slavy,
No.
Mr. Krail,
Yes.
Mr. Roulette,
Yes.
Mr. Rolfson,
No.
Ms. Rich,
No.
Mr. Jerome.
No.
No.
No. So, we're not gonna go with all four firms, so now.
I move we interview 3 firms that have submitted the RFP, with the exception of the Fowler firm.
I'll second that.
We have a motion second. Any other comments from council on this? Public, wish to comment? Back to council. Have a vote, Ms. John?
Mr. Rolfson,
Yes.
Ms. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Slavy,
Yes.
Mr. Krail,
Yes.
Mr. Roulette,
Yes.
Ms. Tillett,
Yes.
Mr. Jerome.
Yes. Okay, thank you, guys, appreciate that. Okay, next item.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay.
Can we start talking about dates?
Oh, yes, let's
dates
say
and
yes,
times.
and, yeah, because.
And process too.
Process, I like to do what we basically did last time, and the dates might be a little bit more difficult. I did start the process today with the dates on this, and calling the different firms when they're available. Almost had it, and I got a feeling the dates so far I'm coming up with is the only one, and I threw out quite a few different dates, and I hope this doesn't interfere with one of our board members possibly that maybe made a comment a while back at one of the board meetings or one of our council meetings. The 9th of March. The only problem is there's only one, I could not reach one of the attorneys' firms today, and there was a telephone either difficulty, but anyway, I left messages and I didn't get a call back from the one firm. There's a Stenstrom, so I didn't get a call back on, but three firms are available on March the 9th.
I
And
am
told
not.
them from 4 o'clock on.
I will be en route back here, but I am not available. I can't leave Virginia Beach till that morning, and it's a 12-hour drive.
And I can't be here at 4 o'clock.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go back to square one dates, so what I'm gonna need to do then is to, what I'll do is this, let's take a few minute recess and let the council look at your calendars, and let's look at our calendars for a few minutes and just to come up with give me a couple dates.
We could always have Gwen query us too.
You wanna do it that way first and then, cause this might end up being a couple weeks out
That's
before we
fine.
can do this.
We're not,
We're not in a rush.
we're not in any rush.
We're happy to coordinate the meeting with the attorneys' firms.
Okay.
They can do all the work
You
for
guys
us.
for dates.
Yeah, that might be the best.
Do you wanna go with us for the
Tell
dates
me.
first, because,
Yes, we'll do it however you like.
I had, my first dates I was working with them was, the 10th and the 14th, and then the 9th and the 17th, and it seemed like the 9th ended up being one of the better dates for everybody, but then, here it's not gonna work here.
That's what's nice about management, they can do all that work for us.
Yeah, I just,
sit back and relax.
I tried to do, I was sitting in the office today and, and I had, from all the visitors I had, and, but in between, I was trying to do some things,
That's good.
and, keep myself occupied a little bit, but it's,
It was nice last time to be able to do the individual interviews one day and then the group interviews the next, but I understand that might not be possible.
so we're gonna do,
And
just be the group and
just
then make it,
as
and
close,
I think.
within a week or something
the
would
three
be
of them
fine
do.
with me.
I don't think I have a problem with that either. I understand Mr. Crail's comments, but I think it's fine to do them all at once. There's only 3 of them. But I think we should make the interview time a little longer per firm.
I think,
Hour and a half or whatever, because, well, at
well,
least
you
an hour.
guys, I know you guys are,
That's a long
I
time.
don't need an hour.
I don't need an hour, I need a half hour.
yeah, we're not doing the openings and.
I'm used to
summations,
cross-examining
so, Yeah,
people,
we're not
so-
doing that.
Now, let's do
Yeah,
the
but
half
that's
hour.
lawyer talk.
No,
I think
I
half
think
hour.
we're gonna need the 40 to
Oh, we need more than a half
45
hour.
minutes.
half
Yeah.
hour.
45 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
So
All right,
if I
45
could,
minutes.
if I can just clarify, are we talking about doing individual interviews as well as group interviews?
No, just
No.
group to start with, that's it, group only.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do individual interviews.
No, just a
No,
group.
why would we need, real seriously?
Well, I'd like to
I don't
do
know.
interview, yeah, that's the way my preference. I would defer to the.
What's everybody feeling? I mean, really, it's,
I think just a group.
and,
By group, now, let me clarify this. By group, you mean, we'll bring them in one at a time.
Yes.
They'll all interview
Yes.
one firm's representative. They'll be
or
excused.
whoever they wanna interview with,
Yeah,
there's 2 or 3.
one
yeah,
firm's
yeah.
representative. If we wanna bring 10 here, who cares?
But, yeah.
Right, the group one's
But
the
it'll
better.
be, there won't be one-on-one interviews.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what we're saying,
I don't care either way.
I like one-on-one interviews, but that's me, so, I mean, I will defer to, I'm a team player, I'll defer to the group on that, but just my preference.
we did the one-on-ones, and like I mentioned, I think the last time, and, there's a difference between individual, like you said, the one-on-one, a little more private, and then going in, but, I don't know, and,
Which is 2 days versus one, if we're talking about.
yeah, and,
So if we did the group interviews, in that light, do we think that 45-minute
45-minute interviews.
slots
I think,
are
Yes.
enough?
That's a minimum to me.
Yeah, I think if you want to, if you feel more comfortable with with an hour, we can do like up to 50 minutes or something like that, and then cut, for 50 or 55 minutes to a 5-minute break in between, and bring the other firm in.
That makes sense. I agree with that.
If I could, I can't resist. We are dealing with attorneys here, so I'd like to get more than one question in, so 45 minutes might not be enough time. Tongue in cheek, but I mean, more seriously, you know, maybe an hour or a little bit more.
They're verbose anyway, you know, by nature.
I'm gonna break away from a little something. Mr. Brown, okay, you're a practicing attorney right now. The rest of these guys, they have it down pat. You're still practicing. So, what do you feel? I just want your opinion real quick, if you would.
I think you want, because I'm often told, you know, try.
You have the right to remain silent, anything you say can. I'm kidding.
By the way, I know a lot about board certification, but anyways, I think an hour probably makes more sense, but the lawyers, you know, you guys need to control, and ladies need to control the lawyer too. You want them to be succinct, you don't want to let them ramble on and on, because if they do that, that tells you something.
Okay.
I think an hour would be more reasonable.
Thank you very much for your opinion on that. Thank you.
I'm happy to help.
And,
No charge.
No charge. I was just gonna ask you.
Word merchants are dangerous.
Okay. Okay, so now so we're going to go with an hour, and if we can get the attorneys on a Saturday, if people come on Saturday too, and we come up with the dates, I like the Saturday morning things, that was great.
Fine with me, I'd be more available for them too.
And a lot of times maybe the attorneys might be a little bit more available too at that point, and I might have to go up to golf match this time of the year, but,
I'm available anytime, it doesn't matter, just
well,
not the night.
let Glenn do some coordinating with the, you know, with the council, and,
Will we be making the decision that day as well?
pardon me?
Will we be making
Yes,
the-
yes,
Sure.
yeah, because there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to make a decision same day. We'll do like we did, last time, just, interview, make a decision, go home.
And I will add that several upcoming Saturdays, I'm scheduled to work, so,
And the only dates I have them definitely out is, the 11th and the 12th. I'm gonna be at that leadership training, and,
And I'm gone on the 26th and 27th.
Yeah, let us, we'll have Gwen
Sure.
and Misty get in touch with each council member, throw some dates out there, and when we get the replies, we'll share those, and then start
I
coordinating.
would just try to do it as soon as you can. and
Yeah, that'll be on Monday.
That way, and,
Yep.
that we can get it done. Okay, anything else on that subject that we need to touch on?
I just have one thing, there's a couple of, I know we try to coordinate our calendars quite often, and there's a couple of programs out on the internet, like called Find Time, and these others, where you just send an email out to all the people involved, and we say yes, no, and amongst ourselves, we figure out the time that works in no time
I've
flat.
seen that before, it is a good program.
There's a few of them out there.
The only hiccup I can think of, because I
Sunshine.
use something similar, is Sunshine, that's the
Sunshine.
only thing I don't, but let me verify that, because there is some really very simple software packages, but they do communicate with all the parties to let you know who's there, and that may be,
I think that's the only thing we.
it sounds pretty innocuous, but
I know.
I take nothing for granted when it comes to Sunshine.
Not these days,
So, but
but it may work.
Yeah.
I think Cliff could
Yes,
estimate.
dates finally, it's sunshine, cool, okay. But anyway, we'll do that, we'll, let, Ms. Johns handle that, and, next item is, consideration to extend the city manager's employment agreement through March the 15th, and I think there's a motion that was passed around.
I'll make the motion just to put on the table, Mr. Mayor, if that's okay. I move to authorize continuation of Vince Pastu as the city manager until 7:59 a.m. Wednesday, March 16, 2016. Mr. Pastu shall be compensated the equivalent of 7 working days, 56 hours at his current hourly rate of pay without any additional leave, accruals, or fringe benefits during this period, beginning March 5 through termination date and time. The current separation agreement shall remain unchanged.
I'll second that.
My comment is, I think, from what I understand, we've all been notified through the manager. That's presumptuous on me, but on my part, it's gracious of him to offer that. It's an additional 7 days, and certainly we need somebody at the helm, and there's only one I could think of that would be available. It's kind of a no-brainer to me, would be Vince, so.
I know we wouldn't have this, this little thing on the calendar if, Mark wasn't,
Right.
was already left the building.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, with that, I guess maybe have one other, maybe just a little slight concern. During that period of time, I know we're gonna be without the interim, and I'd like for our new interim to have a lot of say in what goes on in the future dealings. And I know we have some openings that are here right now that's presented to the, to the city council. And I'd like for our new city manager to be able to have those. And I just wonder if we should have a little caveat inside of this motion that we not have any hirings until the new city, from this point until the new city manager.
If I may, Mayor.
Interim, I'm sorry.
If I may, just, aside from appointing this afternoon Vince Sandersfeld as the interim planning and development director.
Which is, that's good.
Yeah, I have no intention of doing anything beyond that. Now, on the other hand, just you understand that there's still gonna be other positions throughout the organization that will have to be filled, and we will continue to do that as we would, but there won't be any department head or professional level positions that I would contemplate. I concur with you, other than, Vince Sandersfeld. I mean, that's pretty important to have him in that capacity, but I can give you my word, there's gonna be anything else out there between now and then, so.
Fine with me.
Okay, any other comments?
No.
And, open it up to the public, any comments? Okay, back to the council, any other, that's it? We have a vote, please.
I'm gonna,
Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
okay, we're leaving it as worded without a caveat.
No, I thought that was added.
No, I asked for it to be, and, if,
He's given his word.
he's given, do you think we need one with what, Mr. Pastu just said?
I'm fine with his word. If he doesn't give his word, it won't be looking good in his future. But whatever you say.
Shavy?
I make a motion to accept the,
We already have a motion, a second.
motion to accept the motion.
Ooh, that sounds like.
Okay.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Slavy?
Yes.
Mr. Creel?
Yes.
Mr. Roulette?
Yes.
Ms. Tillett?
Yes.
Mr. Jerome?
Yes. Okay.
Mayor, before we adjourn, I have one other little thing I wanna.
We have some
It's
comments
a-
on here too, so we'll.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is comments, go ahead and make comments, but
Okay.
that's why I was put on here also.
We scheduled, and this is totally my error, for which I apologize. We scheduled a meeting of Florida League of Cities folks on Tuesday the 14th. I looked at my calendar, it looked open, I looked at another calendar, and I will be in Tennessee, and I didn't have it on my calendar.
I don't have it on my calendar here.
I don't have it on my
And-
calendar
Change
either.
dates.
Could we just, I mean,
Not that I know of.
but let's do it soon, get there. We
I had Lynn
need to do
Tipton
it.
and Scott Payne set for the 13th.
13th, I'll be
Yeah.
gone, still gone.
Okay, that's fine. If,
And I'll be, we're doing the babysitting thing in Tennessee with the two grandchildren
We'll
involved.
just reschedule that
Yeah.
again
So,
sometime.
and
That's, it's nice to have it, I don't think it's a major.
we'll get it, yeah,
It's
well.
totally my error, I apologize to the council,
No, no
I
problem.
didn't have my calendar
So-
filled up.
lashes and you have.
Scratch off what you don't have on your calendar.
I already did, you got a fourth of it.
We're on the council comments real quick. I didn't make one tonight, which I forgot to make at our last meeting then, since it's on here, that we can do this tonight. I had a breakfast the other morning with Mr. Scott, Dick Scott from the Lake Sumner College, and just going over things with them as far as our, the city's relationship with, Lake Sumner, since they'll be looking at going into our innovation district and stuff, and which they are very happy with the potential of coming here and being part of the city, having their campus here in the city, being annexed in down the road. I've been involved in that thing when I was on council before, and I think I was on council about 6 months when I got involved with them, and it was nice bringing everything up, but I'm finding the mayor's duties, even though overtime and all that. It gets a little hectic at times to keep everything floating. And I would like if, since Mr. Crail is a former school superintendent, if he would kind of take this little point, or be the lead on this, if he would, for me, and from here on out, and have this little relationship and with you know, Mr. Scott, and I mentioned to him, not that you would do it, but I mentioned I would be asking another council person to be involved.
I'd be happy to do it if that's
Just my,
okay with everyone.
they don't need to vote on it, it's just something that, okay, so if you
So
would, thank you.
there's some scheduled.
No, nothing
Just-
scheduled, just chat with them once in a while and have establish a little relationship with the college, that's about it.
Be
So,
happy to do that.
okay, thank you very much.
That was where I was a superintendent in a major university, and it was critically important. The two largest employers in the community, it's really important to get that right, and I'd be happy to.
It makes
Thank
good
you very
sense to have
much.
Mr.
Thank
Crail
you.
do that,
Great.
perfect sense.
Is there any other comments board members like to make while we're here? Thank you
Will we
again,
adjourn?
public, for participating again.
Move adjourned.
Got a second? Second. Okay, thank you very much.
Aye.
I'm always assuming there's an aye for that.
I know.
I'm waiting now.
Friday night.